He lived fast, talked loud, and ruled the list. But now, decades after the cameras first rolled, Big Chief is finally speaking about what Street Outlaws took from him. The fame, the feuds, the friends he buried. At 66, this isn't a comeback, it's a confession. Before he was Big Chief, before the cameras, the sponsors, the merch tables, or the Burnout box fame, Justin Shearer was just a kid in Oklahoma City, obsessed with speed. While other teenagers were chasing girls or saving for video games, he was under a car, wrench in hand, listening to the rumble of engines that felt more like a heartbeat than a machine. In the late 90s, he wasn't a personality. He was a threat. If you heard that Chief was pulling up to a back road with the Crow, you either bet on him or you stayed home. That street racing culture, the kind born in shadows, held together by handshakes and rev limiters, was sacred. And in many ways, Justin never expected anyone outside of OKC to care about it. But when Discovery Channel knocked with a pitch to turn the underground world into primetime TV, everything changed. Street Outlaws wasn't a polished, overproduced show. Not at first. It was real racers, real streets, real risk. And for Big Chief, it felt like a chance to bring credibility to something he'd given his life to. But the moment the red light on that first camera flipped on, so did something else. The stakes changed. The silence of the streets was replaced by microphones. The brotherhood was slowly replaced with branding. What began as passion started morphing into performance. It didn't happen overnight, but Chief could feel the shift. Fans wanted characters, producers wanted drama, and the raw, gritty reality of racing was quietly being shaped into television moments. The show made him a legend, but it also made it harder to just be Justin. And once you're on the list, you don't just race to win, you race to survive what comes next. Fame has a funny way of sneaking up on you. 1 minute, you're racing in the dark, headlights off, adrenaline surging. The next, you're signing autographs in a Walmart parking lot under fluorescent lights, smiling for selfies with people who know your name, but not your story. For Big Chief, the shift from street racer to reality TV star didn't feel like a victory lap. It felt like losing control of the very world he helped build. The fame came fast. Too fast. First, it was fans flooding his social media. Then came the merchandise deals, the public appearances, the meet and greets. His phone never stopped ringing. Sponsors wanted him to push products. Producers wanted more sound bites. Everyone wanted something, but no one asked how he was holding up. What used to be a love for racing became a job that never clocked out. He started noticing it at home. The time he used to spend in the garage with his closest crew? Gone. The late-night test runs just for fun? Replaced by filming schedules. Even conversations with friends started to feel like press interviews. Everything was being recorded, if not by a cameraman, then by someone watching, waiting to upload it online. And the pressure? It was constant. Every race became a ratings war. Every win came with the weight of expectation. He couldn't just lose a race. He had to explain it, justify it, perform through it. It didn't matter how tired he was. The show had to go on. The fans wanted a hero. The network wanted numbers. But somewhere in the middle of all that, Justin started to fade. He stopped trusting people. He stopped sleeping. He stopped enjoying the very thing that once gave him life. He was no longer building a legacy. He was managing a brand. And that brand was eating him alive. And the first cracks in the armor? They started showing with the people closest to him. In the world of Street Outlaws, rivalry sells. Viewers crave tension, grudges, trash talk, 2 cars lining up with more than just pride on the line. And at first, Big Chief played along. He understood the show needed drama. A little jawing here, a little heat there. It kept things interesting. But what started as good TV began to dig into real life. Because the cameras never showed what happened after the finish line. After the lights turned off. After the fans went home. His battles with Murder Nova were legendary. But behind the scenes, there were moments of strain. Sean was more than a co-star. He was a brother. But even brothers don't always see eye to eye, especially when producers keep nudging the narrative. What fans didn't see were the arguments in the trailer, the silence between takes, the days they didn't speak after an episode aired. Then there was Daddy Dave. What began as mutual respect turned competitive, then tense, then personal. Dave didn't like the spotlight. Chief didn't like being second-guessed. Their rivalry spilled over into real frustrations, misunderstandings, resentment. And unlike a race, there was no finish line to get past it. But the worst pressure came from outside the 405. Out-of-town racers saw Chief as the gatekeeper, the one they had to take down to earn credibility. The call-outs got aggressive. Online posts got ugly. Some of it was just ego, but some of it felt like threats. One racer posted Chief's home address online. Another told him straight, "Next time, we're not racing. We're settling it." And the cameras never caught those moments. The fear, the paranoia, the growing sense that this wasn't just a show anymore. It was war, and it was being fought on every front, public, private, and psychological. But all the trash talk and betrayal would pale in comparison to what came next on the track. There's no rehearsal for a street racing crash. 1 second, you're dialed in, heart synced to the rumble of the engine. The next, you're airborne, metal twisting, windows shattering, asphalt screaming beneath you. Big Chief had always accepted the risk, but he never expected how deeply one crash could shake him. Not just physically, but to his core. It happened during filming. The Crow was fully built, freshly tuned, and ready to dominate. Chief lined up like always, adrenaline steady, eyes locked. But something went wrong. He still won't say exactly what. Maybe a bad launch, maybe a track flaw. But the moment his front tires lifted, time slowed. The impact was brutal. The car flipped. Cameras caught pieces flying. Viewers saw the wreck. What they didn't see? Chief's head slamming against the cage, his vision blurring, his ears ringing for hours. He didn't go to the hospital, didn't take time off. He brushed it off publicly, joked in interviews. But privately, he was rattled. He'd suffered a concussion, was nauseous for days, and couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he replayed the crash. The noise, the feeling of not knowing if he'd ever stand again. He kept racing, but something had changed. And then came the one that wasn't his. A close friend, a racer from the 405, lined up for a high-stakes call-out. Chief watched from the sidelines, cheering like always. But when the car lost control mid-run and slammed into a barrier, everything stopped. Fire, screams, medics. Chief sprinted to the scene, heart pounding harder than any engine. The driver survived, barely, but the car was totaled, and the trauma was permanent. Chief never forgot what the paramedic told him that night. If he'd been 2 feet left, he'd be gone. That haunted him. Because in that moment, Big Chief realized he wasn't just risking his car, he was risking everything. The streets don't keep photo albums, they keep scars. And behind every trophy, every victory lap, every win that made it on screen, there's a name that didn't. Big Chief had has buried more friends than most fans will ever know. Some were racers, others were just part of the crew. But all of them lived fast and left too early. Not every death made headlines. Not every loss came with a tribute. A few were from crashes. One died in a wreck during an off-camera run. No film crew, no safety net. Just two guys racing like it was still 1999. The story never aired. Chief wouldn't let it. He said, "That wasn't entertainment. That was a tragedy." Others faded for different reasons. One friend, tight with Chief from the early days, spiraled after the fame hit. Addiction crept in. First painkillers for a back injury, then harder stuff. Chief tried to get through to him, but by the time help came, it was too late. The funeral was small, the casket was closed. Chief left before the dirt hit. And then there was the quiet killer. Mental health. A 4:05 racer who always smiled on set, always laughed at the right moments. Until one day, he just didn't show up. Chief later found out he'd been struggling for years, hiding it behind horsepower and handshakes. No one saw the signs, not even Chief. That one hit hardest. He carries those names with him, not on his sleeve, but in the silence between races. Sometimes, when the track goes quiet at night, he swears he can still hear their voices, still feel them in the passenger seat. But the person he lost next wasn't a friend. It was family. And he was still very much alive when it happened. Allie was there before the lights, before the network, before Big Chief became a brand. She knew Justin, not the persona. Back then, it was just the two of them. Late nights in the garage, chasing a dream that didn't have dollar signs. She believed in him when no one else did. She held the camera during his early runs. She cheered louder than anyone. But love, no matter how strong, can only survive so many missed birthdays and broken promises. Chief doesn't dodge the truth anymore. He admits it. "I gave everything to the street and had nothing left for home." What began as sacrifice slowly became neglect. Races ran long. Calls went unanswered. She'd wake up alone, more times than she cared to count. And the more the show blew up, the more invisible she became. The fights weren't loud. They were cold. Quiet dinners. Awkward silence. Long stares with nothing to say. Ali stood by him through wrecks, rivalries, and rebuilds, but in the end, she couldn't stand by and watch him become someone she didn't recognize. The divorce papers came quietly. No big headlines, just the end of something that used to be sacred. Fans speculated. Rumors flew. Some blamed her, others blamed him. Chief never fired back. He just kept racing, even when he didn't want to. Because for him, slowing down meant feeling the weight of everything he'd lost, and that was heavier than any crash. But when it all came crashing down, he almost did the unthinkable. He almost walked away from it all. Everyone has a breaking point, even Big Chief. And for a man who built his life around never backing down, admitting he was ready to quit felt like betrayal. But it wasn't just burnout. It was exhaustion in every form. Mental, emotional, physical. The fame wasn't worth it anymore. The pressure wasn't thrilling. It was crushing. Behind the scenes, things were unraveling. Discovery was pushing for more intensity, more drama, more conflict. Chief felt like a puppet, forced to perform in a show that no longer resembled the life he loved. He'd show up to set with a knot in his stomach, wondering if today's storyline would make him look like a villain. Or worse, a sellout. Then came the legal heat, a lawsuit stemming from a crash during a shoot. City officials threatening to pull filming permits. Fans crossing boundaries, showing up at his house, sending threats to his inbox. It wasn't just the cars that were in danger anymore. His family was. His peace was. He had a moment, just one, where he stared at his gear, packed in a bag, ready to be dropped off. He had a speech written, a resignation drafted. He told himself, "Walk now, and you might save what's left of you." But something stopped him. It wasn't the money. It wasn't even the loyalty to the show. It was something else. Because deep down, Chief knew he didn't build this empire just to run from it. He stayed, but not for who you think. Chief could have walked. He had every reason. Burnout, lawsuits, divorce, a body that ached more with every race. But when he stood at the edge, ready to leave it all behind, something pulled him back. And it wasn't ego. It wasn't pride. It wasn't the money. It was the garage. Not the one on TV, but the real one. The one with the kid who showed up just to watch him turn a wrench. The one who waited 2 hours in the rain just to say, "You're why I started building." The quiet messages from young racers in small towns who didn't care about sponsors or airtime. They just wanted to know if they could make it too. Chief didn't stay for fame. He stayed for them. And more than that, he stayed because walking away would have meant giving the narrative to someone else. He wasn't going to let a network, a brand, or a fan page define his legacy. He wanted to show what it looked like to fight through the burnout, to build even when you're broken, to show up when no one would have blamed you for quitting. He leaned into the work again, not for show, not for storylines, but for soul. Rebuilt the Crow from scratch, started mentoring new racers off camera, opened his shop to kids who couldn't afford dyno time, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a product. He felt like a person again. But even in rebuilding, there were things he could never get back. And those regrets, they still haunt him. People assume Big Chief's biggest regrets are the crashes, the metal, the stitches, the wreckage. But they're wrong. The pain that lingers doesn't come from what happened on the track. It comes from what he missed off it. He missed his son's first basketball game, missed his dad's last birthday, missed entire summers trying to make a show deadline while his life quietly passed him by. The price of being Big Chief wasn't paid in fuel or parts. It was paid in time. Time he'll never get back. He thinks about the long nights editing voiceovers while his family slept, about being in Vegas for SEMA while his mom sat in a hospital room alone. The guilt didn't hit him all at once. It built over years. A slow burn, a quiet ache that settled in his chest. He doesn't regret the fame, he doesn't regret the cars, but he does regret letting the chase for greatness become more important than the people who made him great. And now, at 66, he can finally say that without shame. Because pretending it didn't hurt would be the biggest lie of all. One day, he looked in the mirror and saw a man with scars, grayer hair, and eyes that carried too many memories. And for the first time, he didn't see Big Chief, he just saw Justin. But even with all that pain, he's still proud. Because what he's built, that legacy, it outlived the spotlight. At 66, Big Chief isn't chasing a title. He's not out to reclaim the top of the list. The Crow doesn't launch like it used to, but it doesn't have to. Because now, it's not about being the fastest. It's about what he leaves behind. He spends more time in the garage than on the track, mentoring young drivers, tuning builds, sharing the lessons that nearly cost him everything. No camera crews, no scripts. Just him, a car, and someone willing to learn. Street Outlaws gave him a platform, but the streets gave him purpose. and he'll never forget that. He still walks the back roads of Oklahoma late at night sometimes, just listening to the wind, to the past, to the ghosts of races that built an empire. His name might fade from TV intros. The headlines will slow. But the impact? It's already etched into the asphalt. A generation of racers who grew up watching, building, believing. That's the legacy. Not the wins, not the fame. The belief that if you give everything to the race, the road remembers. Big Chief gave his youth to the street, his body, his marriage, his peace of mind. And still, he says, he wouldn't change a thing. Because while the show made him famous, it was the street that made him a legend. And legends never truly retire.